Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Total Truth Show. And here on the Total Truth Show, we want to help you break free from the lies and propaganda of the mainstream media, all the disinformation and misinformation. We want to help you blast through all of that. And my name is Ken Kleinberg, coming to you all the way from the USA, San Diego, California.
And I'm Aldwyn Altuney, known as the Media Queen from the Gold Coast in Australia.
There is a great awakening happening in the world right now, and you're going to want to come along for the ride.
A lot of lies are coming to the surface. There's a lot of awakening happening, and as this awakening is happening, people realize they've been deceived for years. They've been lied to for years around all sorts of things. A lot of people have been blind to what has been going on in the world, and now they're starting to see. They're starting to see things in a different light.
Through our show, we want to raise global consciousness to quantum critical mass. And we don't want you just to accept the things that we're saying. That goes for our guests as well. We want you to do the research for yourself. Get out there and start questioning things. Start looking things up. Do the research. We want to pave the way for a new awakened world. And we want you to come along for the ride. So with that, let's get started, you guys. Let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome.
Yes, welcome to Total Truth Show, episode 112. We're so excited to bring you this episode on the annual Good News Day here in Australia. It is the 8th of the 8th, and it's the 8th annual Good News Day. So this is a great day to share good news. Yes. And we have some awesome people who are going to be sharing all sorts of good news around marriage today, the truth about marriage. We have the amazing Cheryl and Casper Stockham with us all the way from Denver, Colorado.
Yes.
And we have my co-host, of course, Ken Kleinberg. How are you going today, Ken?
Great. How about you?
Excellent. Thank you very much. Now, a little bit about our guests before we chat with them today. Now, Casper and Cheryl Stockham are Christian broadcasters. They're producers and marriage coaches. They're experts on any issues dealing with relationships and communication. Their books, Divorce Proofing Your Marriage, How Anyone Can Build Their Relationship Using This Love Building Blueprint, was made as a hot new release list on Amazon. It's made the hot new release list, which is very cool. Well done on that. And their new books also, Mastering Adam and Mastering Eve, are tag team books to help both men and women live happier and healthier lives. And their new groundbreaking MVP app and books are helping couples divorce-proof their marriage, reignite their relationships, master better communication, regain that playful spirit, and enhance their private intimacy. Welcome to the show, Cheryl and Casper.
Thank you guys.
It's good
we
to be
appreciate
here.
it.
Excited.
Great to have you here. And we're all about love here. I love how you've got the love heart in your logo there. That is very cool. I am Love Builders. Now, let's share a little bit about your journey. Now, you mentioned before the show you've been married 22 years, which is extraordinary. So where did it start for you, and how did you come into doing marriage counseling?
Yeah, so we're Casper and Cheryl Stockham, and we didn't start out our marriage thinking about helping other couples. We kind of just morphed into that.
Kind of organically began.
Yeah, but I want to tell you about how we kind of came together, because I have this life before Cheryl. I call it BC, before Cheryl. And I was a hot mess. Okay. I was in and out of relationships and marriages. It was just a mess. And in fact, after my last failed relationship, I was sitting in my car outside of my apartment. And I can remember distinctly praying to God, saying, God, if she's out there, you're going to have to bring her to me, because my picker is broken. I don't know how to pick them anymore, so I'm going to stop trying to pick them. And then I can remember the vision of Cheryl coming to my mind. Now, I knew of Cheryl and she knew of me, but we were not even remotely connected at all. In fact, I found out later she didn't even like me.
Not at all.
She didn't like me at all. But we had a mutual friend, and I asked the mutual friend, was Cheryl dating anyone? And she said, no. And there was a lot more to that, but I'm shortening the story for time. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to ask her out on a date.
Mm-hmm.
So I called the office to ask her out on a date. And what did you say?
Well, at first I was startled because I thought you were calling for business, not to ask me something personal. So I was a little startled. And then secondly, I thought you were already dating someone.
Yeah, well.
Or was engaged or married or something.
That was another BC issue going on, yeah.
So I was really kind of like taken back that the fact that you even called to talk to me.
Yeah.
So I really did not want to talk to you. I had nothing I wanted to say to you.
Yeah.
Because I thought you were arrogant and pompous and short.
Yeah.
And you're short-tempered. And I was like, I don't like him at all. Don't like him.
Yeah. However,
the Holy Spirit told me to say yes, and I did, and we went to the movies.
So we went to the movies, and we went to an action movie. I found out she loves action movies. I mean, like really loves action movies. She was sitting on the edge of her seat the whole time. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. And then afterwards, we talked for like 3 hours after the movie. Mm-hmm. And I realized that night that God had answered my prayer. I was like, wow, that's kind of amazing, right? But that's not what you were thinking, right?
Well, no, I wasn't expecting it to go anywhere. I thought, you asked me out. I figured we'd go to a movie, and then that was it. I wasn't planning on any other dates. I wasn't planning on any other conversations. I was done.
Yeah. I was just getting started because God had answered my prayer. So I'm like, okay, so, what's the next step? So we were like, I called it the next day and we were talking, and then we went on a date.
Well, even that night, the first night of our date when we went to the movies, after the movies were over with, we sat outside and we talked for like 3 hours.
3 hours, yeah.
We talked until they were turning out the lights at the mall. They were like, okay, you two need to go. So in that conversation, I realized that we really did have a lot in common.
Yeah.
We had a lot of the same likes, a lot of the same dislikes. I realized that he actually had a sense of humor, and he wasn't as arrogant and pompous as I thought he was. He was actually a real person in there.
Yeah.
So I found him to also be very forthcoming. He came across as a man of integrity. You ask him a question, he gave you a very sincere answer. And so that kind of softened my heart as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So so what happened after that?
We went on a second date. And then on the second date, after the second date, you called and said, let's get together for dinner.
Oh yeah, for dinner. I was going to cook some stuff and she's going to cook some stuff, and we're going to have dinner at her place.
So this was our third date. And he came over and he brought what he prepared. I had prepared a meal, and we sat down to eat, and then he began to babble. And in his babbling, he finally got out and said, I would like for you to be my wife. Would you accept me as your husband? And I was totally stunned. I was like, what? And I was like, do you know what you just said to me?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, yeah. I said, I don't want to talk about it. We can't talk about this right now.
Yeah. So so then I had a company picnic. That was about a week or so later, right? I had a company picnic, and she came to the company picnic, and my boss, my manager, I introduced him to her, and then she kind of stepped away a little bit, and he says, so what's going on? Are we getting, married, engaged? What are we doing? I said, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So I asked her, I said, so what's your answer?
And I didn't really want to give an answer, but but I tried to put him off. And so finally I did say yes.
Yeah, she said yes.
But then he asked me for a date. Yeah. What date? When will we be getting married?
Yeah, when?
And so I put it out like 12 months later, a whole year later. And he was like,
no.
A year? Like, we're not a year.
We had to compromise.
So then we brought it in 6 months, and he still was like, no. So to make a long story short, our very first date was August the 16th, and we were married on September the 28th. And we've been married for 22 years.
Wow, that's extraordinary. And what was it, Casper, that made you actually, go from dating to want to marry? What was it for you that was really like, yes, this is my woman. I want to be with her for the rest of my life?
Well, I always wanted to be married. I just didn't know how to pick the ones that I was marrying, and it was just a bad situation. So, that last cry out to God, I'm like, okay, I want to be married, but if she's out there, you're gonna have to show her to me. And that's when I felt he did. And he said, what about Cheryl? And I'm like, okay, well, she's pretty, right? So let's see. But yeah, we have so much in common that it just made so much sense to me that night. I said, thank you. You answered my prayer. I appreciate it. But it took me a while to convince her that God was wanting us to be together.
But not only that, on our first date, when we were talking and he was sharing his life, he began to share with me, without me even asking, all of his marriages, all of his past relationships,
all the BCs.
And I was like stunned. And I was like, okay, so you do realize that all of these failed marriages and relationships you had, that you are the common denominator? I said, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Now,
exactly.
the other thing.
Yes, we are. We are all the common denominator. Yes.
The other thing that so when I interviewed you guys a couple nights ago, there was a part of the story that you shared where there was like this interrogation date or something that happened. So share a bit about that, please.
Yes. So
absolutely.
After I finally said yes, and in between the time I said yes and the time we actually walked down the aisle, Casper would come over to my house every day. I had a park that was behind me. And we would go for a walk in the park. We would just walk round and round and round, and we would talk. Mm-hmm. Well, I began to ask him questions. He said I was interrogating him.
Yeah, big time.
But I was simply asking him questions and giving him scenarios and trying to find out, who is this man really, and how do you handle situations?
She was trying to get rid of me. She said, okay, 45 days. I got 45 days to get rid of this dude. So what do I have to say? I asked him a question, but I kept answering it correctly.
I mean, yeah, he was very forthcoming. He wasn't babbling. He wasn't one of those people who showed that they had a problem with commitment. He was head on with the question. He wasn't trying to hide behind anything, and he was being very honest and very sincere.
Yeah. But then she hit me with the ultimate statement. She says, oh, by the way, I have decided to be celibate, and there won't be any physical relationships whatsoever until we get married. And I was kind of like, I wasn't even sure what that meant. Right? So how does that even work?
Was that like no sex? Is that no sex until marriage?
No sex. No physical sex, no nothing. Right. I mean, we could
no foreplay, no kissing.
No. Well, we would hold hands and we'd kiss every once in a while and stuff, but that was about it. And I was like, okay, that's all right. Let's do it. And she was like, what?
Yeah, I really thought that was my trump card. I said, once I tell him this, he, like all the others, will run away.
And that's probably why he's like, wait 1 year for sex, like as in marriage, 1 year, wait 6 months. That's probably what was going through his head. Is like, oh my gosh, I can't wait that long.
Exactly.
However, you did. You passed the test, right? You passed the test.
Yeah.
Because, that's the thing is that, a lot of guys tend to, it's actually a natural instinct for men to want to pass the sperm on to as many women as possible. This is the instinctive thing because they want to procreate. And women, we look for someone who's going to hang around, who's going to be loyal, who's going to keep us safe, all those things.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's a natural instinct for men to want to, pass on the seed, so to speak.
Right.
And, it's interesting. I have a girlfriend who's a professional matchmaker. She's been doing it for nearly 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she always says to me, she says, Aldwyn, you need to wait at least 6 months to have sex with a potential long-term partner.
Right.
And I always say to her, look, I could be dead in 6 months. And so often, we have this little sort of interesting discussion around this. Whereas there's other people that, they meet on the first date and they've been married for 20 and they have sex on the first date and then they're married for 20 years. So it could go the other way around. Mm-hmm. So what do you... So obviously, Cheryl, you're obviously very big on no sex before marriage, which nowadays I'd say would be almost non-existent nowadays. I think back in the day there was a lot more of no sex before marriage. I know my mum had no sex before marriage, but my dad did, interestingly, and that was acceptable for men because my parents were born in Turkey, where it was very much if a woman had sex before marriage,
she was stoned to death. Yeah.
Well, they were considered a slut or whatever, someone who was not worthy to be married to.
Sure.
In that sort of play. I mean, my parents were actually Christians. It was a 99% Muslim country, so that was another thing that they were battling as well, being Christians in a Muslim country. That was a whole other experience. However, that's what the culture was insinuating at the time. Whereas nowadays, I mean, now we have online dating, and it's just swipe left, swipe right, get another one. It's a very disposable sort of society. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that, I guess, from when you married to where things are today, with that whole concept of no sex before marriage? What are your thoughts on it?
Here's what she taught me in that moment, because I was not even familiar with that concept. But what happens is that if you get physically involved, now you have these soul ties, you got all these emotions going on, and you might not even be friends, right? Cheryl and I became best friends. We loved hanging. We still love hanging out together, right? But that developed without the physical. That made our marriage even stronger. And that's what I learned over time, is that is a much better way to go about it if you're looking for a long-term relationship. Now, if you don't care about any of that, it doesn't matter. But I wanted a lasting marriage, and I wanted to like and love and want to be with the person that I'm married to. And in the past, that was not the case. I was like, I wanted to get as far away from this as possible. Sleep in a king size bed so I could actually sleep without touching him, right? but that's not a healthy, happy marriage. So after about 4 years of us being married in that situation, things were going well. And we were at our church and they were doing a marriage retreat, and they wanted we were help organizing the retreat, and they wanted the people organizing it to also do a presentation. Now, I had done presentations in the past, and so had Cheryl, but we had never done it together. So at the marriage retreat, we did a presentation, and afterwards the pastor came up to us and said, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but you're really good together, doing this presentation stuff. You should think about doing it more. So he connected us up with another couple who was doing workshops, and we started traveling around with them and an organization they were a part of doing marriage workshops. And that's kind of how this all kind of developed into what we're doing now with I Am Love Builders.
Amazing. Well, I find the whole sort of relationship spectrum very interesting. Now, Ken and I, of course, are both single. We were sharing earlier, never married, no kids. We both have cats, though, and I've just adopted 5 chickens. Yeah. So I seem to be taking on all these babies and creating my own family in other ways. And yet my parents have been married 55 years, and their loyalty is extraordinary. Like Mum had a fall a week before Christmas. She has been unable to walk. She's had dementia for 10 years. Dad's had 4 heart attacks, prostate cancer, diabetes. He's 87.
Wow.
Mum's 81. Mum's gone into a nursing home, which is the last thing we wanted to do, was put Mum in a nursing home. However, because she can't walk, and it takes 2 to 3 people to look after her full time, to change her pads and to do all of it's full on. Like, we cannot look after her as well as they can in a nursing home. They can hoist her into a chair and take her to the shower and take her out. They can do all of that. And so Dad visits her every single day. This is the loyalty. Dad visits her every single day. He lives 10 minutes away from the nursing home, and every day he goes to visit her. And right now I'm with Dad, and I'm at Bribey Island. I live 2.5 hours away. We have no other family in the area, and I go every day and visit with my dad. I visit my mum in the nursing home. You know, he's now, after 55 years of marriage, and now this sudden life changes happen where he's been with mum all these years. And now suddenly she's in a nursing home and he feels really lonely. He feels really lonely. Now his heart condition has got worse. Now he's going for shock treatment again in another week's time. He's going to get his heart. So they basically stop the heart and restart it, you know, and he's doing his best to stay alive as long as he can and to be there for mum. And often what we see is if one partner dies, the other one goes very quickly afterwards. And this is what happened with my auntie. You know, she was married for 60 years in Turkey. Her husband died. She died 11 days later from heartbreak. And
it happens a lot.
Yeah, something that when people have been together for a very long time, it is almost like their souls are entwined. And it's like, you know, if something happens to one person, it really massively impacts the other person. And for those who aren't married, who've been in relationships, they say 95% of your happiness or misery comes from who you choose as a life partner. And this is where I think it's important to choose very carefully.
Exactly.
So, can you share a little bit more about, you know, the loyalty that comes with marriage? And we've got a lot of people here sharing on LinkedIn. Thank you so much. We've got people on Facebook, on YouTube. Thank you so much there. And there's actually an interesting comment here by, let's have a look. This one here, Michael LeBlanc on LinkedIn. Hello, Michael. He says a marriage is not 50% and 50%. It's 100 and 100%. And compassion, compromise, and mutual service.
He's 100% correct.
We totally agree with him.
Yeah, thank you for that, Michael. So your thoughts around loyalty, and does that, because I know a lot of marriages, and we know Ken will share some stats with us in a minute about you know the number of divorces that happen out there, and it seems to be increasing. So with yourselves, 22 years of marriage, has that loyalty, have you actually got closer over time, would you say?
Absolutely. We could go to an event and not know anyone in the room, and we're sitting there together and we could laugh and talk and have the best time. No one has to come over to talk to us or entertain us. It doesn't matter. We're the only two in the room as far as we're concerned. And we always find something to talk about. We always find something to laugh about. You know, the other day I was just telling Casper 2 new jokes I heard. And so we have a good time. We really believe that if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. I don't believe God instituted marriage for people to be married and miserable. That's just, I just don't believe that. And I believe that you can be married. Yes, there will be challenges. There will be ups and downs. There will be the unexpected. There will be some tragedies. But we are built, and we can, if we choose, we can overcome. And through our overcoming, what they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Your relationships go stronger. You become more bonded. You have more deeper intimacy on the deepest level you can have as a human that goes far beyond having sex.
You know, when couples first get together, there's a intensity, there's intentionality about dating and all this stuff. And then when they get married, a lot of that stops. The key is to not let any of that stop. You keep dating. You continue. Cheryl and I are always dating each other. We've been married for 22 years, and we're still going out on dates. We're still hanging out together, holding hands. You know, love traveling. All
still
that stuff.
Flirting with each other throughout the course of the day. Just having a good old time. And I think the key to that is what's in the first 5 chapters of our book is dedicated to being single. And I really do believe that in the beginning, and having been single and making some very poor choices myself, the key is getting to, first of all, you getting healed. If you've had trauma, drama, pain, and all kinds of things that has happened to you prior and before, even throughout your childhood, you need not take that with you. You need to make sure that you've gotten the deepest healing that you can get before you move on to another relationship. Because all of that transcends to the next relationship. it carries over. It doesn't go away. It's like they say, if you have it's carrying your luggage around. All those old bags you take with you to the next relationship. And it complicates things. So if you got two people and both of them are still hurting from their past experiences, how they grew up, their childhood, when you get into a relationship, all of that comes with you. All that pain, all that heaviness is still there. So it really complicates being able to communicate, being able to understand the other human being that you want to spend the rest of your life with. It makes it more difficult in trying to connect the dots so that you two can be happy. And then when you throw children in the mix, and then the cats and the 5 chickens and
yes, exactly.
Now you really got a tangle web we have woven. So
and I know we're new to your audience and stuff, but we have a contest that we're in, and we only have like an hour left for voting and stuff on this America's Favorite Couple. And I hate to impose on your audience, but if they would vote for us to help us get in the number 1 position, to continue on to the next round.
Aldwyn, can you share that link?
Yes, let's share that and get you. So this America's Favorite Couple. So what's this all about?
Yeah, so this is a contest through Variety magazine, and Jeff Goldblum and his wife are the spokespeople for this contest, America's Favorite Couple, and we entered the contest several weeks ago, about a month ago, and we've gotten through all the rounds, but now the competition is getting tight. And we have to be in first place to go to the next round. And we're in third place right now. So we need votes, people. You can vote for free, or you can pay a little bit if you want to donate to some causes that are on the website. But a free vote, if you just click on that and get us to number 1, that will be phenomenal.
Yes, and we just cast our votes before, so
yes, you did.
So make sure you hop on there, guys.
Yes. So we just you guys should start seeing it in the comments below. So especially in particular Facebook, it should be in the comments on Facebook. I don't know if it transferred over to LinkedIn, Aldwyn. I don't see the transfer over to LinkedIn for the comments.
Okay, well, we'll make sure it's over there in LinkedIn as well if it's not there now. However, definitely on Total Truth Show on the Facebook page, or if they even go to America's Fave Couple, America's AMERICAS FAV Couple COUPLE.org. If you go into there, you should be able to see it as well. America's Favorite Couple. So make sure you vote for our beautiful guests, Cheryl and Casper, in there.
Thank you so much.
All right. And it all helps, right? You never know. There's only about half an hour voting, right? Only not long left to go. So here we go. So let's all support you there. That's fantastic. And I love the fact that you're putting yourself forward like that. Now, Ken, can you share some of these statistics? Now, I thought it was around 60% divorce rate is what I thought was the stats. However, as our research shows, it might be a little bit different. Oh, Corinda voted. Thank you, Corinda.
Yes. Oh, nice. Thank you so much for voting, my friend. Very, very good. Thank you for the support.
Thank you.
So interesting enough and sad, you guys, Christian church, anybody that's Christian listening to us here now, you guys, we need to raise up, because in the Christian church, unfortunately, actually, it has the highest divorce rates as everywhere else. So I'm going to do the other stats in just a minute with all the countries. But you guys, Christians, Christ followers, I'm speaking to you out there, you guys, we need to straighten this up. 60% in the church. Now, let's pair that with results in the secular world, shall we? All right. So we've got the United States. Divorce rates are 39 to 45% lower than the church. We have Australia. It's 32 to 38% versus 60% in the church. Canada, we have 25 to 30% divorce rates.
Wow.
United Kingdom, we have 33 to 37%. And Germany, we have 35 to 40%. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go through the entire world, but
Sure.
that's just a list of tops there. But come on, guys, the Christian church, we're supposed to be the example, okay?
Yeah.
Come on, let's raise up.
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think, in all fairness, I think some of that could be explained through the fact that if you are Christian, more than likely you are pressured to get married, right? If you go into a church, they're like, okay, guys, when you getting married, when you getting married, when you getting married. But if you're not in a church, there's less pressure, I think, to get married. So I think that could be accounting for some of the numbers, but it's still way too high. It should be the exact opposite. It should be to where the church has such a low divorce rate that people are like, wow, how are you guys doing that?
Right.
That's the way it should be.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's our call. I mean, that's how we got into what we got into when we realized one day, and I don't even know how it came to us, that the divorce rate in the church was as high as it was. And we're like, that is not pleasing to God. He does not ordain that. And so we need to, like you said, Ken, we need to get in there. We need to make some changes. Yeah. And so we decided, after we started doing a few workshops, we thought, okay, we believe this is our mission. We have met now many Christian couples who are also doing the same type of work. Yeah. And this is an elephant. So we're all nipping at that elephant one bite at a time.
Yes.
Yes, fascinating. We've got Corinda here in Malaysia. So he's asking us, what are the divorce rates in Malaysia? Thank you, Corinda, for that. So I'm looking that up. It looks like it's quite low. It says the divorce rate's about 1.8 per 1,000 population, which is actually quite low in Malaysia, which is interesting. I'd say this would vary with different cultures. Because some cultures just stick together for life no matter what.
Right, no matter what.
No matter what, yeah. Malaysia's divorce surge 43% to, okay, so it looks like it's gone up over time. However, it's pretty low there in Malaysia by the look of it, Corinda. So if you're looking for a wife, you've probably got better chances sticking with her in Malaysia. If you
and also, Corinda, in answer to your question, yes, I did vote. But I have another question for you guys. So you guys have a dual book series. Well, it's not a series, but a dual book. It's called. So the first book is Master Adam, and the second book is and the second book is Master Eve, and so these two go together. So, what does it truly mean to Master Adam and to Master Eve, and how does that concept redefine the way couples understand themselves and each other?
Yeah, as we were doing coaching over the years, for the past 70, so we've been married for 22, but for the past 17, we've been doing marriage coaching. And we find that when couples come to us, one spouse is dragging the other to the coaching, or the husband's dragging the wife, or the wife's dragging the husband. And we said, you know what? You guys are both kind of screwed up. You both have problems, and you both need work. So over the years, a couple of years ago, I wrote the book Mastering Adam, because I wanted to start helping the male man actually start to regain his place in the world. I think the world has been going after the male man for a long time, and a lot of men are confused. So I wrote that book, and I also wrote it for my great-grandson. And I know I probably don't look that old, but I have 3 daughters, 3 granddaughters, and a great-grandson who's 2.5 years old. Almost 3 years old now. And I wrote it for him, right? I wanted him to have something, a legacy I could leave behind, and someone can hand that book to him and say, look, young man, this is, these are some guidelines of how you can become the best Adam for your Eve, when you're at that age. And then we started thinking about it, and a lot of women were like, well, when's the best Eve for my Adam coming? So that book is actually in the process of going to the publisher right now. So it'll be available here in a couple of weeks, Mastering Eve. So, yeah.
Amazing.
That is awesome.
Aldwyn?
Now, Yes, I've changed my background banner here because you're talking about why relationships don't work, and often there's a lot of fear there. Right now, I've just put out this amazing book here, Fear to Freedom, Conscious Creators Manifesting Magic. And this is all about how people have transformed their fear to freedom and the wisdom that they've learned in the process. Now, half the thing is actually getting conscious to where your fear is. Now, a lot of people in relationships, they're constantly pointing the finger at the other person. And, of course, we always have three fingers pointing back when we point a finger at another person. Now, I actually share in here one of my first relationships where I met this guy when I was 18. I thought we were going to be together forever. We had this 4-year amazing relationship. Everything seemed to be going great. And then one night he completely lost the plot and he strangled me and almost killed me. And this obviously created a lot of trauma for me and a lot of fear about relationships. And I was, from that moment forward, I was like, obviously I made a whole lot of decisions about that. I made a whole lot of decisions like I can't trust men. I don't need men for anything. I'm going to, I'll be fine just on my own. And I just became very, very independent from that period forward. I mean, I already was independent, but I became even more independent. And I'm very aware of that trauma that I had when I was 22, right? Very conscious of it. Now, the longest relationship I've had since then has been 7 years, and it's been a part-time relationship. It's kind of been once, twice a week kind of relationship. So I realize I have kept myself very busy so as not to get too close to a man, so as not to potentially get hurt or potentially killed from my frame from the past, right? So this is partly why I'm currently single. However, through my 40s, now I'm currently 51. I know I look 25. Thank you very much. I am 51. And so now I'm past the breeding age as a woman, right? I'm basically, my periods have stopped. I've had my periods for, since I was about 11, so about 40 years. We only have so many eggs as a woman. However, when I got to about 38, I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't had children. I thought I would married with children by now, and it's I'd kept so busy, and of course life just flies by. And so then I consciously put out, okay, I want to find someone who I can spend my life with and have children with. So I did a lot of online dating. Now, if you're not screwed up before online dating, you definitely will be screwed up after online dating.
This is true, very true. I can attest to that.
If you don't meet someone soon, and who's also been on there for not too long, then potentially, it's going to be a very sad state of affairs. So I did a whole lot of online dating, and I was single for 7 years. And then I met this guy a few years ago who I thought, we actually were committed to actually starting a family, and, and we, for 9 months, we spent 4 or 5 days together. We weren't living together. We were living about 10 minutes apart. 4 or 5 days together. We were doing all we could to sort of, make this happen. And then 9 months into it, I went traveling for a month. He went partying with his mates for a month, and we came together, and it just wasn't quite the same. And he actually said to me, I don't want to get hurt again. So he had his own traumas, right, that he hadn't dealt with. I don't want to get hurt. And I said, well, if you don't want to get hurt again, you better to stay single, because there will be times you're going to get hurt, right? And so this is what happened. So we broke up from there, and we agreed to be friends. However, he then blocked me off everything for no apparent reason, right? He just blocked me off everything. And that was really hurtful for me, because I thought, well, this is someone that I'd like to retain a friendship with at least. His way of dealing with it was blocking me off everything. And so since then, I've been single ever since. That was, 4 years ago. And nowadays, I'm like, I don't need a man for anything. I've got my cats, I've got my chickens, I've got my, I've got my fam, I've got my parents. And it's like, now I'm actually very happy in my own space. However, I am aware that as I get older, life is designed for sharing. I do believe that we are designed to be with a significant other, with a soul partner, etc. So, I'm conscious of the fear that I had, and at the same time, now that I'm past the breeding age, it's kind of like, well, it's not such a urgent thing now. And of course, if a woman is out there on heat and she's trying to have babies, guys will be fantastic. I'll have sex with her and then I'll run off, right? However, finding that match for the longer term, well, that's a whole other thing. And now I'm like, well, right now my priority is with my parents. I've got an 81, 87-year-old parent. Any spare time I have, I spend with them. Whereas I know with relationships, you need to invest a lot of time. So can you share a bit with today's busyness that we have with everything going on in people's lives, making time for a relationship? What are your thoughts and suggestions around how important that is to make that time?
That's part of why we wrote the book, Mastering Adam and Mastering Eve, because the individual has to get past those fears, get over, you got to be able to heal. So you are whole and healthy, like the one commenter said, 100%. Now, are we operating at 100% all the time? No. But if we're operating at 80, 90%, and our potential spouse is also operating 80, 90%, that's a much healthier relationship than trying to do 50-50, right? You go into, nobody wants to have 50% of anything, right? You want 100% of it. So we have to be whole going into those relationships, and it's sad to hear some of the things that you went through, but being single is not a bad thing. We talk about that as well in our book. Being single can be a blessing as well. Now it is something that some people have a desire to be with someone, to have a partner, a life partner, but Cheryl taught me that the physical is important, but it's not as important as being friends, because the physical could go away. It could be some kind of a challenge, some kind of physical challenge where you don't have that anymore. Then what do you have? You have someone that you may be taking care of that you don't even like, right? So you want to have that strong bond of friendship, and the physical on top of it is just like icing on the cake after that.
And to answer your question, what we tell our couples is that you have to stay on task, meaning you're going to be intentional. First of all, once you've made that right choice, you have a person that you actually like being with.
Right.
I enjoy being with my husband. Yeah. We don't have to have money. We don't have to go on a 5-course meal date. We can go for a walk in the park. We can walk around the neighborhood. We can sit on the sofa and watch stupid old sitcoms from our childhood and have a grand time. So I think that's number one key. And number two, even with that, you need to be intentional and schedule it like we do everything else. Yeah. If it's important to you, you will make it happen. You'll get that day timer out. You'll get your scheduler out. You will put that in the book. You will send a Google invite, schedule a Zoom meeting, whatever you need to do, important to you, you will make it happen. And so if that relationship, if that person is that important to you, you'll make it happen. Yeah. You'll schedule that on your day timer. If it's every other Friday from 7 to 9, then you block that out. And from 7 to 9, nobody else gets that slot. Yeah. Make it happen. You find places to go. You plan it. If it's somewhere you want to, that you both enjoy, you'll schedule it and you'll go. Have a good time. If it's something that some couples take turns, maybe he gets to pick the activity, the fun activity this time. Yeah. Then you pick it next time. We had one couple in one of the workshops that we did, and she talked about she set the environment in their home. They got a sitter for the children, and they decided they wanted to go to Hawaii, but they didn't have Hawaii money. So they set aside an evening, and she decorated the home in that theme, a Hawaiian theme.
That's awesome.
She prepared a Hawaiian dinner. They dressed in Hawaiian clothes. They put on Hawaiian music, and they had the grandest time. Yeah. Wow. So if it's important to you, you will schedule it, you will make it happen, and you won't let anything interfere with it. Yeah.
Did they even have Hawaiian alcohol drinks?
Possibly. I don't remember.
I was going to say that had to be part of that mix. Like, come
A
on.
pina colada at least, you know?
Yeah, with the umbrella in
Yes.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. And it's something I say with my team, actually. We have at our meetings and we say this thing and we say, I always have time for what's most important.
That's right.
And, you know, it's like I know that, you know, my career has been mainly in the media, you know, 40 odd years in the media.
Yeah.
And with the media, it's go, 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 go. It's constant rush, deadlines, you know, go, go, go. And so I know there's been this sort of high adrenal sort of lifestyle. It's like being addicted to adrenaline that I've had through my whole life. And then what tends to happen is you go, 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 and then crash, go, 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 and go and crash. However, I always have time for what's most important. I have learned nowadays to do things like meditate daily, to do breath work, to connect with nature, like just connecting with, you know, there was this beautiful big curlew, which is a massive big sort of tall bird. If you look up bush curlew, Australian bush curlew, there was this big curlew that was out the front of the nursing home the other day. And it was really bizarre because they'd never seen this big curlew out the front of the nursing home. So I made time and I connected with this curlew. I took photos of the curlew. And it's so bizarre because when I looked up spirit animals and what the meaning is of the spirit animal, like the Aboriginals, the Indigenous Australians, they have symbols for the different animals. And the curlew actually means death and transformation. And that day there was someone that died in the nursing home. And this curlew was hanging out the front of the nursing home. And there I was thinking, wow, isn't that interesting? It symbolizes death and transformation according to the Indigenous Australians. Sure. And here was this, like, you know, animals are so highly intelligent. There is so much we can learn from animals and connecting with animals. So making the time to connect with nature, and these things don't cost you anything, right? Some of the best things in life are free. So if it's important, as you say, you'll make the time if it's important. If having that connected relationship is important, you will do whatever it takes to
100%.
However, at the same time, it takes two to tango.
Yes,
if you've got one person that really wants, you know, they're doing their best to keep the relationship together and the other one doesn't, then what do you do then?
Well, then you do have a struggle. So that's when you need to have a conversation, because if that's the case, there is a root cause. That is a symptom of a much bigger problem. Yeah. And so that's when you need to have a conversation with this person, and have a conversation that is not
interrogating.
Right. Not interrogating, not offensive, not you nagging or blaming or like you have them hemmed up in a corner type of a conversation, but genuine. And if you can't have it, then you need to bring someone in. That's where a lot of really good marriage coaches, life coaches can come in and help you to mediate that and get to the root cause. But you're right. The other person has to be willing. And if they got some trauma, a drama, or past pain that's an anchor that's holding them back, it does stifle the relationship. It comes to a standstill until one or both goes and get the healing that they need.
And, you know, on the other side of that spectrum, even if there is infidelity in the marriage, we've seen couples come back together and survive from that because both parties were willing to do the work, right? So we have the tools for them, and we can coach them and guide them and so forth. But at the end of the day, the work is up to them.
Yes.
But if they want to do the work, they can even come back from that.
Yes, I think that's so important what you say. Both couples need to do the work. Now, I think about the last boyfriend I had, the one that cut me off at the end. Now, he was always like, I'm your biggest fan. I'm so happy that you're doing all this personal development work. I'm so happy for you. It's good for you, but, you know, I'm good. It's not for me. No, I'm not, you know, so it's never going to work because he just didn't have the emotional intelligence to be able to look at his stuff and deal with it without drinking a lot and doing other things, you know, to drown his emotions.
Correct.
And the thing is too, every 7 years we have completely new cells. So we are completely new beings every 7 years. And you hear about this 7-year itch, right? And it's interesting. My longest relationship has been 7 years, interestingly. However, you know, not saying I'm not open to it again. And my dad often says to me, Aldwyn, what's going to happen to you when you get older? You know, who's going to be there for you? It's like, well, I'll probably give all my money and assets to the animals because I'm such a big animal. However, you know, sure.
These are rich chickens.
Yeah.
However, I would love, of course, I would love to have a partner in my life. I think it can bring a lot of joy, and it's lovely to be able to share life with someone.
Yeah. What you or anyone that's single, that's potentially wanting a relationship, you need to look for someone that's like you. Cheryl and I are very much like each other, so there's not a lot of oddness to it, right? If she wants to do something, more than likely I want to do it too, because the world says opposites attract.
I was just about to write that down because I was going to address that. So please,
that's what the world says: opposites attract. And like your ex-boyfriend, he was opposite from you, and in the beginning, he said, "Man, I love it. I love that you're out doing all this stuff." But really, what he's saying is, "Oh, really? Do you have to keep doing that?" Right?
Yes.
And you're looking at him like, "Can you kind of like liven up here, and can you get So opposites attract, but at the end, they annoy. So we want to look for somebody that's not annoying, and you want to find that out before you start sleeping with them. You want to find out if they're going to be annoying or not.
Yes, exactly. And if you're not growing together, you're growing apart.
Yeah,
so this is where actually consciously making that time to look at your values, look at your interests. What is it that we want to be doing together? What sort of future do we want to create together?
Right.
And Aldwyn, in your story and for you and Ken both being single, one of the things that that this is my passion right here is don't ignore the red flags.
Don't ignore the what?
Ignore the red flags.
Red flags. Gotcha.
When you get into a relationship, and 9 times out of 10, we human beings are pretty intuitive. So we pretty much know after the 4th or 5th date, we pretty much have sized this individual up and said, I don't know. But then there's that other part of us that's still longing and still hoping, that keep pushing further and further into the relationship. Yeah. But deep down in the core of our being, there's this little voice in there saying, let her go, let him go, walk away. But we don't. So we stay in relationships that end up not being very fruitful, and they don't have the outcome that we wanted them to have, that we were hoping for. But there are red flags to begin with. And if we pay attention to those red flags and be the mature individuals that we are, when we see that, you don't have to be mean, you don't have to be rude, but be honest with yourself and be honest with that individual when you say, I enjoyed our last 3 dates. However, I don't think we're really connecting.
I didn't enjoy it enough, really.
Right. Or the chemistry, the sparks aren't there. And so I owe it to you so that you can go and find that right person for you. Yeah. I owe it to myself to move on so that I can find the right person for me. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, you have to be open to it, I think, otherwise you're just energetically, for example, right now I'm focused on my parents, to be there for them. So that's my big priority right now, because they could be dead any, let's face it, once they're gone, they're gone. So for me, that's the number one priority for me.
And it should be.
There's no space for a relationship for me right now. So for all those single guys out there that have been messaging me, I just like to say right now, just hold that thought. And come back in another few years.
So we'll revisit this at a later date, but right now, it's on my calendar.
So now I have a curious question here.
Yeah.
And this might be kind of like prodding into a little bit more of the personal aspect of your relationship, but what are personal trials that you have walked through as a couple that have actually shaped your approach to marriage coaching today?
Well, as Casper says, he has a BC. So he had several marriages and several relationships
and
children. I have never been.
I'm detecting a little bit of sarcasm in your voice.
Well, this is my first marriage, and I have no children. And so when we first came together, the first, of course, bumps in the road that we have is how to balance the exes.
Yeah, exes and the children.
Oh, yes. That's a big one.
because I had 3 daughters, and one of my daughters lives with us now. And in fact, her and Cheryl are so joined at the hip. If something did happen to me and we got divorced, my daughter would stay with Cheryl. She wouldn't come to me. Yeah, but we had to juggle that, right? The blended family and all those kind of things. So that was a huge struggle for us. But because of our friendship and closeness in the beginning, we worked through all those things, So we tell couples all the time, the challenge is a lot of couples, they have a fight or whatever it is. They never resolve the problem. It just kind of dissipates a little bit, and then they put it underneath the rug or they put it in the closet or whatever until the next blow up. And then they go back underneath the rug or in the closet, pull it back out and say, oh, yeah, and by the way, I still didn't forget about when you did. And then all that just builds up. What you have to do is deal with those problems one at a time, deal with them so they don't exist. So with Cheryl and I, when we do have a challenge now, it's really the only challenge. So we just deal with that and then we move on. We don't have to even look back and say, oh, yeah, that's that one thing that we never resolved that problem. We don't have those kind of challenges anymore.
And another thing is that you have to make sure you have someone that you can communicate with.
Yeah.
So that's another one of the red flags. So if you're in a relationship out there right now, be it with your female for a male for female, whatever the case is, if you can't have a very good, rich communication with that individual, if you can't have it now when you're single, it's not going to get any better.
Nope, it's not going to get any better.
When you get married and the children come and the dogs and the chickens and the cats and your calendar full and it's not going to get any better. Yeah. So while you're single, find that person whom you can communicate with, and someone. I've never done internet dating. That's just a X for me. Like, no. But you want someone who can be honest, truthful, above board.
Yeah.
Someone who's not flaky, who's not pretending, who's not playing games. Someone who's not just honest with you, but they're honest with themselves. And they can communicate that. And when they come to a situation or someplace where they can't or they don't know how, then they know that and they go get help.
Yeah. Now that's a challenge for Adams, though, because men typically aren't good communicators. We just kind of grunt and whatever and say, yeah, thumbs up and we're good, right? But women want to hear about it and talk about it and, unpack that for me, Casper. I'm like, oh, can we just move on?
For instance, if he goes to a men's retreat and he comes back and I'll say, well, honey, how was your retreat? Oh, it was good.
It was good.
Well, what did you talk about? Oh, we talked a little this, a little that. Well, how many men were there? Oh, I don't know, maybe 50. What did you guys do? Any kind of male bonding things? Yeah, we went. Some of us went to the store and bought bacon. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
I'm like, really?
That's great. Yeah.
Now, you get me and the girls together, even if I've never met them before. Aldwyn, you and I got in a room and start talking. We go deep. We'd have a whole lot to say.
You have no idea what she can turn into. Oh my gosh. And the things that will come out of her mouth. Oh my Lord. She's seen my face get red many of times from the things that she comes. Yeah. But anyhow, continue.
But and then when the women he asked me, so what do you all talk about? Well, let me tell you, I got stuff I can tell, rich stuff. So that's just the difference in between male and females when it comes to communication. However, though, if you want a good relationship, especially if you're in the body of Christ, you want a good kingdom godly relationship, you got to be able to communicate with that person.
And if they can't, that's a red flag, right? You got to work on that. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Wow. And this is where the book "Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus" comes in.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, I was going to ask you guys about that. What are your thoughts on that book and what it says? Well, or I don't know if you guys have read it or if you guys have heard about it. Yeah.
In the beginning, we used to actually teach out of that book. That book, the 5 love languages and
his needs, her needs.
His needs, her needs. We used to teach out of all those books. But then when we started writing our own books, now we teach out of our books. But yeah, in the beginning and stuff, we didn't have our books, so we taught out of those books.
But, surprisingly enough, even in scripture, God describes the differences, characteristics of a man and a woman. And those are for not separation or conflict, but it's because they complement each other so they can build something beautiful.
Yeah.
You can't build a house if all you got is electricians. You need some electricians, you need a plumber, you need a framer, you need someone who does drywall.
Roofing.
So it's okay that there's some differences as long as you can rally them together to create something beautiful.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love the word complement, because in there it's like there's complete, complement, complete.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of the 3 C's of relationships I heard many years ago. The 3 C's of relationships is communication, of course, a big one you've already mentioned.
Yeah.
Commitment is another one. And then compromise. However, compromise sometimes can be like you're giving up something for someone else. However, you could co-create something together, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I think those 3 C's or many of the C's we just mentioned, they're really important. And I want to mention too, coming back to Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, because I found a lot of gold in that. And some of the main principles I want to share, and we can chat about it from the book, is one is that men value success while women value connection. Number 2 principle in there, when men are stressed, they withdraw to their caves, whereas women want to get more involved. Yeah. Number 3, men are motivated by being needed. They need to be needed. Number 4, women are motivated by the prospect of being cared for. Number 5, men interpret language literally and women interpret language by finding hidden meaning, right? So what do you really mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
Exactly. Number 6, a man's intimacy cycle consists of getting close, retreating, then getting close again. 7, a woman's ability to give and receive love is directly related to how she feels about herself. Number 8, 90% of emotional reactions in relationships are caused not by our partner, but by our past hurts, which we mentioned there. And it's interesting nowadays, there are many blended families like yourselves. And you think about, back in the day, I think about Elizabeth Taylor. She had 7 husbands and 8 marriages. We had Rex Harrison had 6 marriages. So some people just keep going with this. It's almost like an addiction.
I was on that train for a while, but Cheryl saved me from that.
So it's fascinating the way men and women work, and that men do have, when you say, what are you thinking? And he says nothing. He actually is thinking nothing. Whereas women, we're constantly thinking stuff, right? How can you thinking nothing?
Right. Men have there's this comedian, I can't think of his name right now, but he calls his skit, men have a nothing box.
Yes, I remember that.
Men go to their nothing box. And he says men's brains, they just have that one, they go to that box.
They got compartments.
Yeah. And women's brains, he said, are like spaghetti. They're all over everywhere.
And if you think we have 60,000 thoughts a day, and for most people, 98% of the thoughts are the same we had yesterday, 80% of thoughts are negative for most people. There's a lot of spaghetti going on there, right?
Yeah.
With all of that. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Now, there's another thing, because I think we touched on this when we did our interview together 2 days ago, but let's address that lovely verse in the Bible that talks about women, submit to your husbands. Let's talk about that, because there's a second piece to it that's not often talked about in the church.
Correct.
Right. So the word of God says that wives, submit to your husbands, but it also says for husbands to submit to your wives. So the submission part is for both. And it's not demeaning. It's not devaluing. It's so that the two of you can come together to build something beautiful. You use the word co-create. That's what it's all about. You're building something. If it's a business, a book, a ministry, children, a household, your job, you're building. And so you both need to come together. Basically, is you're coming together for a mission.
Yeah.
So here is the submission. We're coming together for a mission to create something. So it's not one-sided.
Right.
Both have to submit. We submit all the time.
Yeah.
We submit to deadlines. We submit to our job. We submit to the laws of the land. We submit to the HOA. We submit all the time.
Yeah.
And it's for a purpose. So it's not meant to be demeaning in a relationship. It's so that you two, you use the word compromise. We use the word collaboration.
Yeah, collaboration.
So you're coming together. Because someone said, anything with two heads is a freak. You know, you can't accomplish anything if one head wants to do this and there's nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you both need to come under each other. Basically, you're submitting to the mission. You're submitting to the goals of life.
Yeah.
You're submitting to the call that God has called you to while you're here in the earth for this journey.
It's beautiful.
It's refreshing to hear it talked about in that way, because I think in a lot of the church today, wives, submit to your husbands. It's like this drudgy word, and you're just like, ugh. And then there's the other aspect of it. Then there's the other aspect.
Dominate.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean dominate.
Then that's the kind of like the other aspect that I was going to talk about. It's just like, there's another verse in the Bible that talks about women be silent, you know, and stuff like that. It's like, what the heck? So maybe dive into that a little bit, because I'd like to unpack that and bring some real truth to that, because
Well, I believe the verse you're talking about was actually Paul was writing it, and he was talking about women be silent in the church. And you have to understand what church he was talking to at the time. I think it was the Corinthian church. And there was a lot of confusion going on. They had just come, a lot of the parishioners were in prostitution. I mean, it was just a mess. And he was trying to clean it all up and stuff. And he had to kind of have some order to things. And that's what he was writing about. So people just have to understand the context of what was going on at the time. And also it was at the time. I mean, there was, a
particular culture,
the sex, if you were a slave or not. I mean, all these different things were going on at the time.
So that is not him saying that in the church women can't speak, or women can't teach, or women can't have an idea or a thought, or women can't lead. Yeah. That's not what's meant.
No, because there were women at the time that he
even walked with Jesus, and they had their own businesses.
Yeah.
They led, they taught, they shared the gospel.
There were women that supported Paul on his missions and stuff. They were very wealthy women, business women who were trading in fabrics and dyes and all these things, and they were helping Paul on his mission. So yeah,
I love it. I love that so much. Aldwyn, you were going to say something.
Yes. Well, I find this very interesting, because I think one thing I've noticed with people that have been in relationships for a long time or had long marriages is that they have a common faith. And, you know, whether you're Christian or whether you have some other kind of faith, I personally, I believe it's a one God, or one, spiritual, universal energy, whatever you want to call it. And I think we all have different stories around what it is we're tapping into, right? That's my personal belief. I was brought up Christian, Greek Orthodox. I think, there's been, spirituality and religion is a whole other topic. And Ken and I have covered some of our recent shows, some of our Total Truth shows, we've covered this topic in depth. However, this faith that you have, and also my parents, I see with their 55 years of marriage, they've always said, Dad always said, God has a plan. God has a plan for you, and what God wants will be done. And, so there's this very strong faith that's been at the heart of, I think, has kept my parents together. In fact, faith is one of the 13 principles in Think and Grow Rich as well. So for the two of you, did you always have a strong faith, or is this something that has grown over time with both of you?
No, I actually grew up in the church and all of my life. And so when Casper came into my life, that was one thing I had to make sure, because that was important to me. I mean, there are couples that I do know of. One has one faith, one has another. But for me, I wanted someone in the same that I was in, had the same faith. And so I make sure I relayed that to him, shared it with him, that was an important thing for me, and that God had to be the center. I mean, Jesus is Lord in our relationship. That's how it's going to be, and to see if he was in the same agreement.
Yeah. And I had a strong faith, but I'd also been wounded, if you will, by different church people. So I'm like, okay, I don't see the need of going to the church because they are jacked up. And I don't need to be jacked up. I'm good. Right. So when we first met and stuff, I said, hey, I will go to church with you and I'll behave myself, but I'm not really going to follow these people because I don't think they're in alignment, with God, from what I can tell. So I had that issue that I had to work through and become. And what I did was I put the people in the church in front of God. In other words, they were the church. They were the Christians in front of them. So when I just connected directly to God, then the people are people. There's going to be some good ones and bad ones, and it doesn't matter if you're in the church or you're in a business or you're
what part of the country you're from,
supermarket or whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly.
Human beings act like human beings.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And I totally relate to that because, I was brought up, Greek Orthodox. In fact, I remember my grandma who passed away 20 years ago. She gave me a leather-bound Bible, I remember, from a very young age. She signed it for me. I still have that leather-bound Bible. And, I grew up as a teenager. I went completely off the rails. I had very strict European parents, or very strict dad. My dad and I clashed big time when I was growing up. Both Capricorns too, whether you believe in star signs or not, but very headstrong. Yeah. Very stubborn, and whatever dad said to do, I did the opposite. And I went, I was running away from home at 13, kicked out of home at 15, which is actually one of the best things that dad did for me. And when I was completely off the rails, one of the places I turned was to the church and to Christianity. And I remember one of the born again Pentecostal churches in Sydney at the time, they were like, if you don't get born again, you're going to go to hell. And there was all this sort of fear mongering that was happening in there. And so, then I became born again, and then people were speaking in tongues. And then it was like with the tongues, I didn't know if it was good or evil coming out with some of these tongues that were being spoken. And then I remember at one of the churches, and it was actually in Brookvale, Phil Pringle's church at the time. And I remember they were raising money for the TV screens at the church and for the pastor to go on holidays. And I thought, surely this is not, like this actually turned me completely off the church, because I thought this doesn't feel like it's right. We should be raising money for the homeless and for, that kind of thing. What are we doing raising money for TV screens and for the pastor's holiday? And so that turned me completely off. And this is the thing, is that the churches have human beings in there. And while they may have faith, they're still human beings at the end of the day. And none of us are perfect, or maybe we're perfect in our imperfections. However, at the same time, I then later came back to the church. I got pregnant. I got pregnant when I was 36 to a guy that I didn't want to be pregnant to. And at the time, my dad, because my dad was very strict with his beliefs, and he was like, if you have that child, we want nothing to do with you or the child, which was something really hard for me to handle at that time, because I did not believe in abortion. I thought, okay, if I'm meant to have this child, I will have this child. And what happened is I turned to the church, and it was actually Harvest Church in Ashmore at the time. And they said, we'll look after you. We have families here. And and interestingly, what happened is, I don't know why I'm getting emotional about this, but I then miscarried at 9 weeks, which was, really hard. And I still deal with that to this day. I still, but I think, well, obviously wasn't meant to be. And, I often ask my dad and I are really close now. I've done a lot of work around, on myself and we're close now. Yeah. We still drive each other crazy a little bit, but we've learned to accept each other's differences. And, he was just coming from he just did the best he knew from what he knew. He
wanted to protect me. He considered it was going to be like a bastard son if I had or daughter, if I had a child outside of marriage.
Yeah.
And he didn't want me to marry this guy because this guy was a bit bipolar. He had a temper. He was full on, like, could be very angry at the drop of a hat.
Sure.
Interestingly, that guy I'm still friends with to this day, that guy that I actually, interesting. It's quite a bizarre state of affairs. However, we're not together, but we're actually very close friends now with this man that was a bit up and down and whatever. And I think to myself, well, obviously it wasn't meant to be. I have to trust that it wasn't meant to be. I miscarried at 9 weeks. However, also I'm aware that my subconscious beliefs were that I wanted to feel what it was like to be pregnant, but I wasn't interested in actually bringing up a child because of the commitment, because I so valued my freedom that I didn't want the commitment of that child.
Right.
It was like I had the accelerator on and the brake on at the same time. Right. So I do believe that I created that miscarriage, and I'm not making myself wrong about it. I truly believe, because one day this guy that I had the child with, he was flying off the handle. He went from calm to flying off the handle. And I said to myself, I cannot bring a child into this relationship.
Right.
Within 10 minutes, I started miscarrying. So this, I truly believe I brought on the miscarriage, and I don't feel guilty about it. It obviously went the way it went, and obviously it wasn't to be. However, it's this constant dance between fear and freedom that goes on in relationships. It goes on, I think in faith as well. Back to the church. The church was really it felt like a safe place for me to be pregnant and to potentially have a child, even though the child didn't come through. I get lots of nurturing out in other ways. Through people around me, through my clients in my media business, through the animals, through the nurturing comes out in other ways. And there's plenty of other people having babies, and so really, I don't feel bad about that. However, emotionally, it can bring up some stuff. And of course, when you're coming into a new relationship and you have this stuff from the past, it's important to be able to, to express it, to verbalize what's going on and how you feel, and to be able to work through these things rather than shut it down.
Yeah, work through it, but you have to heal even before you go into that next relationship, because again, that's going to cause a challenge potentially, with your new partner. Yeah.
Yes. And then noticing why we attract the same kinds of people that we attract into our lives. A lot of people attract the same kinds of, and so what I noticed is I suppressed my anger for many years. My dad always said anger is danger. I suppressed my anger, which actually led to depression, as I noticed many years later, because I would express my anger through sadness, and often underneath sadness is anger, and underneath anger is sadness. And so I attracted men into my life who were angry on the outside and very sad on the inside, but they expressed that sadness through anger. I expressed my anger through sadness. And so there's this opposites attract thing again. And then coming back to, a lot of people, like we say, the Rex Harrisons and the Elizabeth Taylors, the married 6-8 times, a lot of people feel they have to be married to be happy, or they have to be in a great relationship to be happy. And this matchmaking girlfriend of mine, she said, all the love that you have for others is there for you too. Right. So I think that self-love component is really important, to be able to come into a relationship as two, strong individuals who have a strong sense of self and self-love, and they actually complement each other, rather than you have one person, leaning on the other, or being like, where are you going? What are you doing? And reflecting all their insecurities on the other person. And it can end up knocking the other person over, or knocking them out of the game. Right. So let's talk about self-love and how important that is for relationships.
Well, it's extremely important. You need to have peace with who you are.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have peace with who you are, then when you get into that relationship, regardless of how that person treats you, you're going to always feel like they are dominating you, or they wanting more from you than you can give, or that they're suppressing you from being who you really are. And that's basically because you're uncertain as to who you really are. You're uncertain as to how to love yourself, let alone how to love someone else, or to love a child. Yeah. And so it is extremely important, along with getting your healing and getting your deliverance, you need to know who you are and be confident in who you are, and not suppress who you are, so that when you come into that relationship and you're able to communicate that with that other person, they're not caught off guard.
Yeah.
And if they're strong and confident in who you are, now the two of you can make a plan together.
Yeah. I was that person that needed to be in a relationship, and the cycle broke for me when I was sitting in my car. I said, okay, God, I'm done. I'm okay with being single for the rest of my life, if that's the plan. I want to be married, but I'm not going to force that anymore. If she's there, you're going to have to bring her to me. But that was a paradigm shift for me, because prior to that, I said, well, okay, there's another one. Just gotta just go from one bad relationship to the next, right? So there was that shift that had to happen in my mind to change that.
Yeah, got it. Now, Ken, what's your longest relationship? Let's talk about you for a second.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for like.
And what happened with you? What's your trauma, Ken? What happened? Where's the fear for you? How come
you talk about being interrogating. Yeah. Longest relationship. I don't know. It's been so long. The last one that I was in, after that, I was kind of at the point that Casper got to. Like, Lord, if you want to bring somebody in my life, you're going to bring them, because I'm tired of this. This is just nuts. And the last relationship was the icing on the cake. The one before that, I do very much remember, because it was a little bit more of an intimate relationship. It was growing. It was growing really fast. It was with this person by the name of Anna Sanchez. I remember her. I met her in Bible college in Marietta, California. And we just started talking together, and then pretty soon we kind of started to do little dates together and stuff like that. What ended the relationship, and I was very, very, very bummed about it, extremely bummed, but there was nothing I can do about it, and it was right to end. Is she was called to go out on the mission field, and I was not. And I am not. I know myself well enough. I would not do good with a long distance relationship. I know myself as being a very needy person. I need that intimate. Yes. And I know that about myself. The long distance relationship would not have worked. So we mutually decided to part ways. Later, I kind of regretted that, because I'm like, I really liked her. Yeah. And then after her, I got involved with another lady. Her name was Janice, I believe. Last time you asked me about this, Aldwyn, I couldn't remember her name. And then later, I did. She actually pursued me after being at a Tuesday night Bible study a couple times and seeing me there. She found a way to reach out to me, and we started communicating, and then we started to connect and date. I very soon found out her parents were absolutely 100% controlling to her, and very damaging to her. I actually had a dinner with her and her family, and it literally felt like the kind of almost like the meet the parents kind of thing. It was awful. It was awful. And it kind of scarred me for the rest of my life, because I'm like, I don't want to date another woman and have to go through that. Yeah. Because I was doing a ministry out of my house at the time, and the father of Janice, he like interrogated me about it. He's like, well, do you have insurance on this? And who's doing this for you? And what are you doing over here? And well, you need to have this, and you need to have this in place, and otherwise this. And I'm just like, dude, I mean, I took it all. Like I listened to him, but I walked away from that just going, oh my Lord. I mean, and she was a mess. Yeah. She was an absolute emotional mess, because that's what she had been used to, being controlled all of her life. What I later, and so here's what kind of like nixed it. I had to, I was part of a college and career Bible study at the time called The Fold. And it met on Sunday nights. And so I had brought her quite a few times. And this particular night that I had brought her, she broke down. She was crying. And so I was sitting there trying to counsel her, console her, trying to help her through her situation and give her advice, give her verses and everything else. And that's all I was there for, is just to help. Well, I don't know what happened between then and the time that she reached out to me to break up to me, but apparently her roommate, her roommate apparently found a way to reach out to me because she was in college, and so she had a roommate, and reached out to me and said, "How dare you? How dare you try to control her this way? How dare you tell her this and this and this and come into her life and use verses in that way? How dare you?" I very quickly saw that she had taken what she had known from her parents and she had latched it onto this lady because this particular roommate was doing the same thing to her and she didn't even know. So when she went to go break up with me, I point blank asked her the question, is this your decision or is this somebody else's decision? Did your roommate make this for you or who did you? She didn't. She did not have an answer for me. Now, here's the thing. I could have ended that nicely and still maintained a friendship with her, but I was still very, very bitter. And I did little things like she had given me a ring to hold on to, something special. She wanted it back. Well, I ignored her. I didn't give it back to her. I finally did, but I made things so difficult for her. I pretty much severed anything. But so after that, that was the last. I was just like, I'm done. I think the main thing is her parents. Her parents scared me. And I'm like, I don't need that kind of thing in my life. So anyhow, that's the story.
Well,
Thank you.
I always had great ex-parents. My
experience.
They always loved me and stuff. They after the breakup and stuff, they're like, but can you still come around? I mean, they always loved me. I could stay. I could literally go to where they were and stay at their home and stuff and hang out. Always a great.
My mother used to send me care packages, but then when we got married, my care packages got less and less, and their care packages start coming under the name of Casper.
Yeah,
she would go out and shop for him and buy him new shirts and buy him cologne. And what size pants does Casper wear? I'm like, wait a minute. What about me? I used to get these care packages.
Oh, that's classic. So Ken, back to you. So how long was the longest? Like, how I said 7 years, my longest.
I don't remember. I'd like to say maybe 9 months, maybe a year. I don't remember. I really don't remember. I just remember the experiences of that.
The trauma.
The trauma, especially of that last relationship with Janice. It wasn't so much her as in hers in person. It was the fact that I was very hurt that she again let somebody else control her. Because these are some of the conversations I had with her to try to help her through, why that's not a good thing. And apparently her roommate took that in the wrong way and just thought I was some kind of male whatever controller. And what business do you have telling her this? Yeah. It's like, what? Okay.
Wow.
Yes, so interesting. We've got Annie Osung here on LinkedIn saying, Ken is traumatized by the experience. And then Kenneth Dunner Jr. says, Annie Osung, why are you talking about me? And this is the thing, right? As Ken was sharing, as I was sharing, this is what we're faced with nowadays. People have their own traumas, their own situations from the past. And if we don't deal with it or want to deal with it, right, then I guess we just stay forever single or in part-time relationships or, and what hope is there for us? We've got Cheryl and Casper here, our experts. What hope is there for us to have a happy marriage? What do you think?
Right.
Well, the truth about marriage is it is a sacrifice, but it's best to not bring that luggage with you. Just cut it loose, let it float away, and then start afresh, with the person and stuff. You just gotta do a lot of forgiving, a lot of
forgive the other people. You got to forgive yourself.
Yes.
No shame.
Yeah.
No condemnation.
No blame.
No blame. No.
Yeah.
You got to give them a clean slate and give yourself one.
Yes, 100%. And it's interesting. Yesterday, I actually had my dad on the Global Good News Challenge for the first time in 5 years. Wow. And we were talking about freedom. And dad was saying on here, 87 years of age in all his wisdom. He said, you know, everyone wants freedom. However, with freedom comes great responsibility.
Yes. Yeah.
And also in relationships comes great responsibility, and being 100% responsible for everything in your life, you know, whether you like or don't like what's happened, we are the common denominator. As we said at the very beginning, we are the common denominator. And so I look at when my ex-boyfriend strangled me, and I know I was 100% responsible for that. Okay, now I know that might be a bit out there for some people. However, my boyfriend had been saying to me for a long time, I want more time with you. I want more time with you. I was doing 5 casual jobs, you know, and this was after one night I came home very late after doing a photography job at a function. And he lost it. But he had actually, the hints were there for a long time. He was asking for a long time, I want more time with you. I want more time with you. And obviously time is one of his biggest love languages.
Right.
You know, clearly it wasn't for me. And so we had this big myth match, right, on that. And it led to him strangling me. And I'm sure he woke up it was a psychosis, right? It wasn't how he normally was. However, it was enough to scare me out of the relationship, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I know that. And I don't blame him for that. And he's gone on and he's very happy. He's had children and living in Melbourne now. And I wish him all the very best. And this is the thing, I wish all of my ex-boyfriends the very best. I do not hold any grudges for any of them. I send them love. I send them, because the thing is, once you love someone, you don't ever unlove them, right? And in fact, hate and love are at the opposite ends of the spectrum. But if you hate someone, you actually still love them in essence, because you've still got that you've got those hard feelings or those passionate feelings. If you're neutral, then that means I believe that you've now let it go. If you're at a neutral place, if you can say, I appreciate the time we've had together. I'm grateful for the learnings, and bless and release. And this is where your environment is so important. Your environment, as Ken was sharing about, you know, one of his ex-girlfriends, and the environment of the person that was in the room, and the parents and all of that. Right? That's your environment. How important your environment is for a happy relationship as well. So, you know. Fascinating conversations, fascinating. Now, Annie Osung's put a funny comment in here. Kenneth Dunner Jr., you have changed, sugar daddy Kenny. Well, you know, whatever works for you, because some people pay for love or pay for sex doesn't mean you're going to necessarily get love, you know. Money doesn't always buy you happiness.
That's right. That's a fact. That's a fact.
So yes, nearly time, right, Corinda? Corinda was saying maybe he should find a wife in Australia. Well, Corinda, you know, you're always welcome to come over here. Although the stats are you're probably better off in Malaysia, considering the.
There you go.
And look, we are coming towards the end of the show. We've had some wonderful comments. Might just go through some of those quickly now, and then
be careful, because there seems to be some random links in there that people. So be careful.
I won't share the spam links, but we do have Peter Mulfleur here on LinkedIn. As long as he isn't shorter than you, it's okay. Now, that's interesting, Peter, because I know of some women that have been married to shorter men, and it's lasted very well long term.
Right.
Yeah.
And they do say that horizontally you can't really tell anyway. So it's all. So don't worry, I wouldn't let that stand in the way of a good relationship. However, hey, each to their own. Each to their own. If that's one of your non-negotiables that they have to be taller than you, well, so be it. Now, Peter says those missteps have worked themselves out. Yeah, I guess they either work themselves out or they don't, right? Now, some of these relate to probably earlier comments. Here we go. We've got Kenneth Dunner Jr. Savor the flavor of the awesomeness in you. Peter Mulfler and Michael LeBlanc, conversations with other LinkedIn people, for finally showing up tonight. There you go. Savor the flavor of the awesomeness. Love it, Kenneth.
I hope all these people voted for us.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Did you guys vote?
I've got all the comments. I've had my team sharing the comments in LinkedIn and YouTube. It should be all there, as well as Facebook. Michael LeBlanc says commitment, communication, and courage. Yeah, there's some great C
Very
words.
good. Very good.
That works.
Very good.
That's great. That's great. Kenneth says, Michael, you are so full of C's tonight. Michael says the guy has it easy. He just needs to serve her like Christ served the church.
Yeah,
that's right.
He died for the church. Yeah, thank you.
We talk about it in our books. Yeah.
Yes, beautiful. Love it. Michael says, Michael LeBlanc on LinkedIn, God knew what he was doing with why you wait on sex before marriage. Data shows virgins that wait for marriage have fewer divorces and longer marriages. Oh, very interesting.
Amen.
I believe that.
That's very interesting, Michael. Thank you for sharing that. Michael says intercourse shouldn't be transactional. Well, I think it depends how much you pay sometimes with some people.
Whoa.
Some people
maybe
say,
that's a little bit too much TMI there. Hey, I'm not sure
some people
about
say
that.
I'm doing it for free. I may as well get paid. So anyway, let's not go there right now. Hey, each to their own. Of course, the sex industry is the oldest industry in the book, isn't it? So everyone's looking for love in some ways, and generally for men, they find the love through sex, and women want a little bit more than sex usually, which is why often there's payment involved with some people. Okay, so Corinda, why is it important to consider this is where Ken starts to blush? Why is it important to consider people with disabilities when designing buildings? Oh, that's a very interesting question. Not quite sure what you mean there, designing buildings. Well, I think that is very important. I don't know what it's got to do with marriage. Right. However, if you have a disability, obviously you want to look for a building that is going to cater for your...
That you can get into, yeah.
There you go.
You can actually get into, yeah, exactly. And you can get those beds that go up and down with the little buttons, so that could help with the disabilities as well. Okay, thank you for that. Oh, and Corinda says, I've never been married, so I wouldn't know. Well, Corinda and Ken, it's not the end of the world. I have great faith in both of you. Corinda, Ken, is Bob married? Is Bob married? I'm not sure. Is Bob married? Oh, it must be someone else on LinkedIn possibly. Okay. Oh, Kenneth says, Aldwyn, I invited Michael to the show tonight. Oh, very good, Kenneth. Thank you so much.
Nice.
Lovely. Thank you.
So I didn't know this was going to be a hookup site. This hookup show as well.
Oh, Corinda says, what would sex look like in a society free from shame and fear? Oh, that's a good question.
Wow.
It looked like a non-married society.
Yes, an unmarried
society. What did you just say? I want to make sure I heard that correct.
A non-married society. That's what it would look like.
Explain that. Let's unpack that just for a second here. Well, I'm kind of curious.
Without free from shame and fear. It's just people just having sex at will whenever, and
there's no commitment to
it.
When you decide to step into a relationship of any kind, it doesn't have to be marriage. It could be friends.
Yeah.
You need to have some commitment. There's going to be courage, because people have had friendships that didn't go well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a little intrepidation in there. Is this going to be a true friend or not? So if you're talking about a marriage, then there's going to be some fear, like we've already been discussing. And some of those fears have already been seated in us long before we even meet that person.
Yeah.
Yes, so
100% agree with that. It's the same aspect of, look, if life were easy, and, if life wasn't a trail full of speed bumps, glass, nails, thorns, valleys, all that other stuff, learning and growing would be minimal, if even that.
Yeah.
We'd be mediocre.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, we learn from those challenges, and we grow from those challenges,
100%.
So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a great saying I heard in a landmark course that I did, landmark education, and it was be committed, not attached. Now, this is interesting because wedding, in a sense, is an attachment of sorts when you marry. However, when they say be committed, not attached, be committed to what you want and not attached to the outcome of what someone else does, because we cannot control what somebody else does, whether it's in a in a friendship. We cannot control what the other person does. And you particularly can't control it on dating sites where people ghost you. They go hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold, right? So you definitely, this is where definitely have no expectations and you'll probably end up happy. There you go. That's my one piece of advice on that. Be committed. Be committed, not attached. Corinda says, need you back on the show for the book. Okay, Corinda, awesome. Corinda has a great show called Empowerment Extend, which she does with a lady called Sarah in the UK. Thank you, Corinda. Love being on your show. And also professional podcasters, live streamers. We are. Yes, we are. We are live streamers. It was Adam and Eve, Michael says. It was Adam and Eve, trust God or be present, period. Be present. Yes. Well, being present is a big one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Being present.
And that's in all aspects of a relationship, because there are people who've had parents who are their parents, but the parents weren't really present with the child.
Yeah.
Yes.
So being present in all aspects of a relationship, especially in a marriage.
Yes, beautiful. Michael says wholeness is found in and with the Godhead first and foremost. In and with Godhead. Wholeness is found. Yeah. And we're never actually alone. You know, I had a big fear of being alone for a long time. And I actually went for a lot of my years. I went from relationship to relationship to relate. And there wasn't much of a gap in between. And it's only when I've really done the work on myself to actually have a lot of self-love, to feel that I don't actually have to be in a relationship to feel loved, actually to have that love for myself, to know that we're never alone when we have faith. When we have faith, we're actually never alone. However, life is designed for sharing. Life is sharing. And I do believe also there's a lot of beauty and a lot of strength that comes from marriage as well. Absolutely. From people who are married, who work together really well. I think there's a lot of power in that. Now, Kenneth says, tonight's conversation is so beautifully well articulated, eloquently stated, heartfelt. Oh, thank you, Kenneth Dunnett Jr. We love your poetry. And I don't know what Michael means by this. You will always have a God-sized hole. Not quite sure what you mean exactly by that, Michael, but God-sized hole.
I think what he's saying is that there's always going to be a part of you that's needing God in there to fill it.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, beautiful. Love that. And Michael says here, you will fill it with all manner of crazy. Yes, you could, right? You could fill it with all manner of crazy if you don't fill it with that God energy, right? Okay, interesting. Michael LeBlanc, visualize a triangle or a pyramid, male, female on base, both have vertical lines to the Trinity. Triangle or pyramid. Okay, not quite sure what that means exactly. Maybe elaborate a bit more on that.
I'm not sure either.
Okay, what other comments we have? We are coming up to, here we go. Renee, good to see. Renee's one of our authors. Renee, Reggie Roland, you can only truly say you hate something because you have truly loved. You are as dark as you are light. Nice. Oh, Renee's got one of those beds, she says. Oh, she has a
the bed with the remote. Yeah,
beds with the remote. Yeah, pretty cool. And Renee says stillness is wholeness. Feet on the ground, soak up the earthly power. Yes, get grounded. Grounding is really good. Get back to nature, get grounding. We talked about that earlier. Thank you, Renee. And Corinda says, yay. All right, awesome. We are coming to the end of the show. So Cheryl and Casper, are there any final words you'd like to share about our topic today?
Well, we'd like to share our website, which is iamlovebuilders.com.
Yes.
I put it in the chat here.
We'll share
iamlovebuilders.com. They can get our free app on the site, right at the top of the top of the page. They can vote for us, but I think the voting's over. They can get our free app on that on our homepage there. It's an MVP app. We have quizzes.
I am Love Builders with an E or without an E and love?
I am Love Builders. Did I type it wrong?
How do you spell it? Is it LOVE Builders?
LOVE, yeah.
Okay, yes. Okay, got the right one there. All right, beautiful.
But yeah, we have a free app there. It's called an MVP app. They can get free quizzes, love assessments. They can get just a lot of great information about relationships, all for free. And then also we have an upgrade feature. But they can access our TV show from the app. So they can watch our TV show right from the app. It's kind of cool.
That's amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And discount on our books.
Okay, that's the site to go to, guys. IamLoveBuilders.com. So for those on the audio, I am love, LOVE, builders, BUILDERS.com. So that's where the building thing. So Corinda said, I love do-it-yourself building. Okay, he might be talking about building love, possibly, Corinda.
Oh, there you go.
Right, maybe that's what you're talking about. Okay, got you there. IamLoveBuilders.com. And do you have a favorite quote or motto you'd like to share with us today?
Oh, well, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
That's our tagline.
That's our tagline.
Amen.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. Renee says, oh, thank you. Thank you, Renee. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Excellento. Okay, Ken, now how can people connect with you?
Well, people can connect with me through a link that I have created. It's www.masteryweightloss.com/connect. And on there, you're going to find 4 links, or 4 buttons, rather. One is a button to join my mini educational boot camp. You see, I've lost 62.5 pounds, and I've kept it off for 7+ years now, all without a diet and having that be sustainable. But how? How did I become the 5% that's been able to do that? Well, it's simple. And I get to explain that with you through my boot camp. So I'm actually giving away my 3 secrets to help people to lose weight, feel energized, and get healthy without starving or dieting. In just 3 powerful one-on-one sessions with me, I expose the 3 biggest lies that's keeping people sick, stuck, and overweight, because that's how that industry makes money. Yeah. And I am empowering them with the truth so that they can, and I'm showing them how they can fuel their body God's way and break free and finally keep the weight off for life. So to join that mini educational boot camp, it's not a workout plan. It's not an eating plan. There'll be a button right there at the top. And then the other 3 buttons is subscribe to my YouTube channel, connect with me on Facebook, or maybe you've got some questions and you might just need to get on a strategy call with me. Well, that is free. And there's a button for that as well. Book to get into my calendar, and let's go. So that is me.
Awesome. Thank you, Ken. What's your quote you'd like to share today?
Oof. Okay. So the quote, let me get back to this. So my quote for today, where was it? Oh my goodness. I saw it. Okay, hang on. Give me a second here.
Okay, we might come back to Ken's quote.
Yeah, come back to me. Yeah.
We'll come back in just a moment. Corinda wants to interview you as well, Ken. And I think also Casper and Cheryl will be great to interview also, Corinda. Maybe reach out and you guys have a chat as well. Cool. Awesomeness. Okay, and for those who want to connect with me, you can go along to a linktree/Aldwyn, has all of my links. That's linktr.ee/Aldwyn. Now, on the screen there, you will see my YouTube channel, Aldwyn Altuney Media Queen TV. Please subscribe. I'd love you to do that. I'm looking to get the numbers up on that. We've got actually over 1,600 videos now on the YouTube channel. We have a whole lot of Media Queen TV episodes, Total True Show episodes, and also Media Mavens show, which I did with a lady from Germany. And also in those links, you will find a link to our Fear to Freedom Facebook group, which is a free group you can join. And on there, you will find the links to get your copy of Fear to Freedom. You can get the Kindle version wherever you are in the world, as well as the printed edition. And the stories are absolutely next level with how our beautiful 13 authors have transformed from fear to freedom in their lives and the wisdom that they've learned on the journey. It's a really inspiring book. I'm very proud of it. And we are also seeking people now. We're taking expressions of interest for series 2. This is our series 1. We're going to be doing another one. So reach out to myself or Leanne Clune if you would like to be featured in our next book. Let's have a conversation about that and see if there's a alignment there. And huge happy birthday to Leanne Clune, my co-creator of this. This is Leanne over here. It was her birthday yesterday. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Leanne. Leanne's been on our show a few times as well. Now, also in there, you'll find some free media resources at my media website. So I help you be seen, heard, and known amongst the noise through mass media exposure. We have amazing. There are 5 top tips to get on TV that you can get from my website. Link in there. Also, the Global Good News Challenge we have every single month. It's a free challenge sharing gratitude and good news. The whole idea is to help lift the energy on the planet and help to decrease decrease depression and suicide rates. And in fact, today is the Good News Day. It's an annual Good News Day, which I started in 2018 after my fourth friend suicided that year. And also the 8th of the 8th is actually my niece's birthday as well, the 8th of the 8th. So a huge happy birthday to Matea, my beautiful niece. It's her birthday today. Nice. And thank you to all of our Good News Crusaders globally who have been doing our challenges. Check out the Facebook page there for all the details how to participate. We actually have an 8-day challenge for August, which you can start anytime within August, and you just share your name, what you do, 3 things you're grateful for, and a piece of good news. And then we share it out to thousands of people. So it's free marketing for you as well. You find all the links there. Let's connect. And my quotes today, I have one quote here from Mignon McLaughlin, and it is: a successful marriage requires falling in love many times, always with the same person.
Yes, 100%.
Nice. And this is there's another one here. If I get married, I want to be very married.
Ooh, I like that.
And then one here from Ewan McGregor. As a Christian in Moulin Rouge, she says, the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. Isn't that nice?
All right, I got my quotes.
Yes, Ken, over to you.
All right, so there's 2 of them. So this one's from John Piper. Marriage is not mainly about being or staying in love. It's about keeping covenant.
Yep. Ooh, very good.
Yep. Okay. Yes, and here's the second one. And this is by Tim Keller. And I find this this one seems a little sobering. Marriage is a portrait of the gospel. How a husband loves his wife tells the truth or a lie about how Christ loves the church.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh.
Wow.
I love it though.
So great, Ken. Thank you so much, our amazing guests, Cheryl and Casper Stockham. Hopefully you voted for them on our links there. Let's see. Please keep us posted how you went with that amazing thing we had. This America's favorite couple, of course, voting. We had the votes up. They would have closed by now. Thank you to everyone who voted there.
Thank you, everybody.
And anything finally you'd like to share before we wrap up today, Cheryl and Casper? Any other final words, or Ken?
One thing I like to say is don't lose hope with regards to having a relationship or just finding that right person that you can journey through life with. Yeah. It doesn't matter what age you meet that person. You don't have to be young and get married. You can be in your 50s and 60s. And if you find that right person, your soulmate, enjoy the journey.
Yes.
Yes. Did you hear that, Ken? See, there's still hope. There's still hope for you.
Yes.
Oh, I know you're talking to me as well. Okay, well, we'll keep you posted on that one. It's hilarious. Well, we've been married to this show, haven't we, Ken? We're very much married to this show.
Yes, we are. Episode 112. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
See, that's longer than a lot of marriages already. We've been going 3 years.
There you go. All right.
Thank you so much wisdom shared. Please let us know, for those who've joined us live or watching the replay, what have you got out of this show? What have you learned? With so many gold nuggets we've shared about life and relationships. Renee says thank you, Renee. Thank you so much. Much love to you wherever you are in the world.
All right.
And thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you back for more amazing Total Truth Show episodes. Make sure you subscribe on all our stuff, Spotify, YouTube, Total Truth Show. Like the Facebook page. Check out some of our previous episodes as well. And please share the love if you know that this could really help someone maybe struggling in a relationship right now. Please share this with them, because they're not alone. It's a very common thing to have your ups and downs in relationships, and seek help if you're really stuck. Okay. People like Cheryl and Casper out there, they can really help you, move through wherever you're feeling stuck. And in fact, if you also want to know how to get unstuck, I did a great interview this week on Media Queen TV with Sharon Jerd, all around getting unstuck as well. So check that one out as well. And you are not alone. So here's to having extraordinary life, and here's to more long marriages and long happy relationships out there. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye for now.